Hey everybody, welcome back to a Fan of the Game basketball podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I love this game. And we have a new episode this week. I'm calling this one Monday Recap. Monday Recap, we can talk about NBA news, NBA players, highlights during the week. But specifically, I want to focus on last night's games, the storylines for the week, specifically one referring to the Lakers. And I want to answer a big question. Who is going to win the NBA championship? So I got a little tier chart that we'll look over. I also want to say this, my 2 cents. We're all going to want our favorite players and our favorite teams to win. And so I will have some bias in what I'll say when it comes to my tier list, but I also want to be true to the players, true to the fans, true to the franchises, and show that there are teams out there that are, even though I may not be following them personally, that they're not to be messed with. Um, so I just wanted to mention that. And so if I say something about your team that you don't like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to issue what I think is going on based on what we've been seeing, what we've been watching, especially with this last 18 to 25 game stretch. That's really going to put everybody in their positions for play in or playoff. Um, but let's first and foremost talk about last night's games here. So we have this doubleheader right here, the Celtics versus the Knicks. And I'm sorry, Knicks fans. Celtics have your number. Celtics are doing fantastic. They're beating these Eastern Conference teams. They're showing that they're still the team that you have to go through, which we'll talk about. Unfortunately, the Mavericks lost. I really love the Mavericks. I really want to see them healthy. But no shade towards the Warriors. Warriors played excellent basketball. Iguodala's jersey retirement night, playing at home, Jimmy Buckets. It was a great game for the Warriors, and of course, in the third quarter, nighty night from the Steph Curry. Pacers are playing well. The Bucks beat the Heat. This is an interesting matchup, especially because I think the Heat are a good team, and I believe Tyler Herro is just a fantastic player. But the Bucks took that win. We got some Raptors beating the Suns. Suns have kind of dropped off again. The Magic, the Pistons, big game here. Cavaliers versus the Grizzlies, big game there. The game I want to refer to, though, is the Thunder versus the Timberwolves. The Thunder are showing that they are not to be messed with. I think Anthony Edwards and squad are a fantastic team. But it's going to go down to the wire for sure. Maybe 4, 5, 6 games. But I do believe that the Thunder could beat the Timberwolves in that type of series. So that's the action from that night. But what I want to get into as well is the story over here. The Lakers beating the Nuggets. This game became a big highlight game. I actually thought the Denver Nuggets were going to win this game based on the way they've been playing, based on the way they've been excelling. But Luka Doncic goes in there, finally looks like he's playing like himself, finally feeling a rhythm, and talked about how the goal is to win championships with the Lakers. Um, and that at the same time they asked him about how he's feeling about the transition since that mega trade, however we want to call it, trade. That he's finally just finding a rhythm, trying to get focused because there's a lot of emotion when something like that happens, both on franchises, both on especially the fans, and the players who get traded. But this game kind of put a statement out there that the Lakers are trying to, not even trying, they are they're coming up in contention right now. They are sitting in fourth in the West. I did want to talk about that a little bit because that is the game that kind of sealed the deal for the storyline for the week. I think that was an important game. Everybody had that game circled in their matchups. Um, the next game will actually be on Tuesday, where we have my bad. The 25th, this game right here is going to be important game. I know that Anthony Davis probably isn't going to be ready. These were two of my favorite teams. Of course, I'm wearing some Lakers stuff today. Um, but the Mavericks, I'm rooting for the Mavericks. But this game is going to be very interesting. It is not at Dallas, from what I understand. But when that game happens, there's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of conversations. There's going to be a lot of talk. And the potential wish for people, right, is seeing these two match up in a pretty intense playoff series, second round or even conference finals, depending on the type of matchups that you get. There would be a lot of heart, there would be a lot of passion, be a lot of storyline with something like this. Um, but only time will tell. Let's go over here to the standings. Okay. So this is how it's shaken up. I'm only focused on 1 through 10 right now. Play-in, playoffs. Till here, Bucks are having a 4-game winning streak. Cleveland is getting back up there with their winning streaks. They're in a flow. They're in a motion. So are the Pistons. Going down here to the Western Conference, the tougher conference. Golden State is on fire. The Los Angeles Lakers are picking up steam. I'm not concerned about this one loss with the Nuggets. They will be picking it up soon. We will see what happens from here down, which is what I really want to get to. Okay. So this is my little NBA tier chart. As of right now, I'm focused on right now, the present time. Like I mentioned, I really do like the Dallas Mavericks. Um, AD is one of my favorite players. Kyrie is one of my favorite players. And just to give you 2 cents, I wasn't raised with team basketball. I got into basketball really late, and I knew who players were. I knew who Kobe was. I knew who Shaq was. I knew who Michael Jordan was, of course. I knew who Magic, Larry Bird were. I didn't really have a team. And it wasn't until later that I got an affinity for the game, a love for this game, that I started to understand how it worked, but I followed more the players than the teams. And if my one of my favorite players and happened to be on that team, that's the team that I was rooting for, the teams that I would be rooting for. So just because I'm wearing a Lakers jersey and talking good about the Mavs, don't get upset. I love the Lakers. LeBron is still playing. He is probably still my current favorite player in the NBA. So, of course, I'm going to root for them. Kobe, of course, being one of my all-time favorites. So don't don't be too preoccupied. But that is a Mavs are definitely a team that I follow. Bucks are definitely a team that I follow. But enough about me right now. I want to share this chart, and then we'll go back to what I was saying. So for me, the best teams and the title favorites, the Celtics. Celtics are the title favorites, and they are the best team, unfortunately. Um, and fortunately for you Boston fans, I think Boston has figured it out. They won it last year. They've been close in this last 5-year window. And they are the historic franchise besides the Lakers. They have won and they continue to win. And sometimes they slow down during this regular season, but I think they're going to pick it up, end up in either the first or second spot, just depending on how things work. Most likely the second spot, but I don't think that's stopping them. Uh, they're my pick coming out of the playoffs to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, anything can happen due to injury and different storylines because the storylines are great, and best out of 7 is a really, really long win. Now, the reason I have the Nuggets in that top tier, the Nuggets have won a championship. They have played phenomenally well. Last year, they got knocked out, and I do believe that does hurt their resume, but it doesn't hurt the entirety of what this team is. I think the Nuggets are really, really good. They run a 9-game winning streak before they lost to the Lakers. Um, they are probably the best. They're the best team in the West. They've were the last ones to prove it. Um, and they know how to play basketball, and they have Nikola Jokic, the Joker, who's arguably one of the best players in the world and is still a contender for MVP. So that's why I have the Nuggets up there. Like I said, I would probably want to do that for the Bucks, yes, because one of my favorite players is Giannis. They have won a championship. They have Damian Lillard, and I would put them more up there because they have the championship in this last couple year window. But they've been struggling with injuries, and I don't know if the team is deep enough. But we'll get down there. So that's why I think the Celtics and the Nuggets are the best teams. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully, we can have a conversation about that. Title contenders. I've put very few teams in the top two tiers. I'm a pretty strict person. Um, expect a lot too. This is why I think these two teams are definitely people to watch out for, teams to watch out for. They can definitely make a difference in the playoffs. The Thunder, as I mentioned earlier, are proving a lot. They're proving a lot with how they play. They are the top seed in the West, 46-10. It looks like everybody else is about 9.5 games. Memphis is 9.5 games away from catching up to Oklahoma. So people are going to have to go through Oklahoma. If the season ended today, if Dallas isn't healthy, I'm not sure how they get past OKC. If Dallas is healthy, at least have AD. I could see them winning that series, but OKC has proven that they can compete for the title. Same for the Cavs. The Cleveland Cavaliers have proven themselves. They're 47-10. They are 6 games ahead of the Celtics, and the Miami Heat are 20 games behind. So the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Thunder, I put them in the same boat. They have kind of the same type of caliber players. They have the same type of aspiration, ambition, defensive prowess, offensive prowess. Um, I guess when you score over 140 points, maybe there's not much of defense, but definitely a lot of offense. But I think they both have the pieces, the tools to contend for a championship. They're young, they're deep, they're good. Then we get into the playoff teams and the play-in teams. Okay. Okay. The reason I have Lakers at number one in the playoff teams is because I think the Lakers and the Warriors are the sleeper teams. I think the Lakers could make a lot of noise in the playoffs, and I think the Warriors could make a lot of noise in the playoffs. Right now, the Lakers are fourth in the West, 34-21, winning streak of 2 games, 11 and a half games behind OKC. They have LeBron, they have Luka. They probably don't have um, a defensive prowess in the paint, which could be their downfall. Sometimes they're not as deep when like Shaq says, because I respect Shaq's opinion, when you got your role players doing their part, it can happen for the Lakers, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, those four, LeBron, Luka, Rui, Austin, those are the guys. You can get all of them rolling. You have LeBron, freaking James. The Lakers can make a lot of noise. The Knicks, here's the thing about the Knicks. My uncle, he's a big fan of the Knicks, so shout out to my uncle there. The Knicks are a good team. They have Karl-Anthony Towns, Dominican brother. They have Jalen Brunson. I do believe that they can be deep enough, but when they're facing against the biggest and best teams, they're not figuring it out. And I know that in a playoff series, anything can happen. It's a long series. So, the Knicks have potential, but I'm still going to put them in a playoff bracket. Come the Bucks. Bucks have Giannis, to me, currently the best player in the world, my opinion. They have Damian Lillard, and they just acquired Kyle Kuzma. They lost Middleton. They have a core, but their core is also is very veteran-y, if that makes any sense. But there's importance with veteran players, but there's also an importance for deepness. So how far can the Bucks go? Um, if the Bucks, and this is the tricky thing, these playoff teams, you can make an argument that they could make a deep run, and that's what's always hard about these type of conversations. Lakers, Knicks, Bucks, Rockets, Grizzlies, Pacers, Pistons, Clippers. So I do believe the Bucks could make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they would have to get through the Knicks and they would have to get through the Pacers. So that is going to be what I think about the Bucks. I think the Bucks just need to be able to step it up in the playoffs. If they can step it up, I can see great things happening for the Bucks. The Rockets and the Grizzlies. These are fantastic young teams. I do believe Memphis can defeat Minnesota. If the season were to end today, they would be facing off each other. But it would be a fight. I don't think Anthony Edwards would want to lose to Ja. but that would be a series to watch. But Rockets and Grizzlies right now, for me, they're equal in the sense of who they have, how they're performing. Grizzlies definitely had an all-star, and so they're on track to make a lot of noise. But as of right now, I put them in the playoff team bracket. They're definitely in the playoffs. You have to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. You have to show the world that you can beat OKC. Pacers, Pacers are a playoff team. I put them in the same category as the Knicks. You have to win these games. Pistons, they're brand new. They've done so many good things, improvement from last year. I'm happy for them to be in those top six seed. They're 3 games ahead of the Orlando Magic. So can they keep it up? They're on a 6-game winning streak. We will have to see. The Clippers, um, I don't really know about the Clippers. So I leave them there as last. They could go down and have to play for a play-in spot. So the LA Clippers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Golden State Warriors, those are the teams that are fighting for a play-in spot, which brings us into the play-in teams. So if the Mavs, the Timberwolves, or the Warriors make it into the playoffs, you have a very interesting series versus OKC or Memphis. Pretty intense stuff there. The Heat, they are only about a game and a half ahead of the Hawks. The Heat really have to play well against the Magic. They really have to play well against Trae Young in order to get that spot. The Bulls are a play-in team. They, I don't think they're making it into the playoffs. Magic could make it into the playoffs. The Heat could make it into the playoffs. So it's really between the Hawks and the Heat. And the Sacramento Kings, they lost Aaron Fox. They have Zach LaVine. They have DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis. I think Harrison Barnes is still playing. I could be confused about that, but I don't. I don't think the Kings have enough firepower to make it, so that's why I have those 4 teams in that bottom tier. But the Mavs, the Timberwolves, and the Warriors, they can make a lot of noise depending on what happens in the last 18 to 24 game window. You can agree or disagree with me. This is how I see it right now. Celtics and Nuggets are the best teams. Thunder and Cavs are the title contenders. Playoff teams that can make a lot of noise and stories and have a lot of strength and potential. And then you have the play-in teams, which are, depending on what happens, health, all that type of stuff, can change the dynamic of the playoffs. Um, what do you think? Who do you think is coming out of the West? Who do you think is coming out of the East? That will be my question for this week, since there's a lot still coming down to the wire. Guys, I love this game. I love talking about this game with you. I'm hoping you're enjoying this content. I know that's a lot of opinion based. It's fun to talk about the sport. There's a lot of passion with this sport. There's a lot of entertainment with this sport. So we gotta do what we need to do with the uh, love of this game. I will leave you promptly here with a quote from Kobe Bean Bryant. The important thing is that your teammates have to know you're pulling for them and you really want them to be successful. Uh, I love this game. This is a fan of the game basketball podcast, and we'll talk more soon.